We are live. Oh my goodness. So here we are. I have got an amazing guest in the green room, but I've also got an absolutely fantastic song. So this is for you. Saw her today at the reception. Glass of wine in her hand. Knew that she would need a connection. Had a feet was a footless man. Can't always get what you want. Can't always get what you want. Can't always get what you want. You try sometimes, just might find get what you need. There we go. Let's bring in our guest today, Sam White. How are you?
Hey. Hello, Ashley. That was fantastic. You're clearly a man of many, many talents.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was not expecting that. No.
Did you just think I was going to put a record on?
I did.
I can see at the bottom you've invited all your friends along. they're all sat backstage. So hi, Claire, Andy, and Andy. It's very, very nice to see you. This is Claire. This is Sam's show. So I'm sorry, guys. You just have to stay there and watch. But I hope you can see everything. So today I am talking to the lovely Sam White. Thank you very much for coming on. Let's just put that there. And if anyone's got any questions, then please come in. So the very first question I always ask my guest, Sam, is why did you choose that song?
I mean, you got to love Rolling Stones, right? I mean, how can you not love Rolling Stones? But no, it's the lyrics of the song for me are very telling, because I have had so many experiences in life where I've thought that I've wanted something, and actually I've ended up with something completely different, and that was the thing. So I just think it's a really great message. I think particularly in business, it's an absolute folly for you to be obsessed with going in a particular direction and not being prepared to be flexible when something perhaps even better comes along and kind of hits your radar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, those lyrics are just make you think, because you know we want everything, but actually we don't. It's the things that we need that are more important. And so yeah, thank you so much for picking that. I love the Rolling Stones. Have you ever seen them live?
I've not. I would absolutely love to, although they are getting on a bit now, so I'm not sure how the energy would be on stage, but I should imagine it's an incredible experience.
I did a gig on Saturday night, and I'm a granddad, and I started to feel it. So Mick Jagger's a little bit older than me, so bless him.
He's certainly got a lot of energy, particularly for a man that was as badly behaved as he was in his youth. So
come on, what do you say? What are you saying you got up to?
Well, yeah, you should, but maybe you should believe everything that you read.
So you do a little bit of LinkedIn, don't you?
I do. I love LinkedIn. And that was one of the reasons that I said yes to your very kind invitation, because I just think it's a really interesting platform in comparison to a lot of the others in the way that you can engage with people.
And what sort of things do you like about LinkedIn then, Sam?
I actually, weirdly, even though it's a business platform, I actually think in some ways it's more intimate than Instagram or Facebook. I actually find people are more authentic on LinkedIn than they are on those platforms, because it's not quite as glossy, is it? It's not, it's not all about the carefully positioned photos and business is a massive part of my life. So for me, the idea that you can connect with people that you admire from a business viewpoint, but also you instantly know people that, you instantly know who they know that you know in a business sense.
Yes.
And that, I think a lot of people keep their home life and their business life separate. And for me, that's not a thing.
Okay. And what's all this about fanboys then?
Mr. Kelly. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the comment on the screen. Tim.
Yeah, no, Tim and I have met up a couple of times pre-pandemic. We're kind of almost, we should be on other sides of the fence, in the sense that Tim quite rightly holds the insurance industry to account, which, you know, I'm heavily embedded with. And so he has quite strong views on how insurance companies should behave and things that they do right and things that they do wrong. But to the conversation that we had before we came on air, I do actually like that. I like people that will challenge you, ask you questions, make you think differently. So we've kind of developed this sort of half real life, half social media friendship, and he likes to tease me. And yeah.
Well, it's good to have him. Good to have him here today. Nice to see you, Tim. So do you use so you're saying about LinkedIn, because with LinkedIn, like you say, it's raw, isn't it? You don't have to worry about filters and looking your best and all of that. And so I think that's why. And then what people see the real you, then, don't they? And that's who people connect with, isn't it?
Yeah, but I also think, so, you know, to your point, you were very kind to say that you were surprised that I'd come on, or you were happy that I'd come on this. But equally, from my perspective, I've reached out to people that I wouldn't have thought would be happy to have a conversation with me, and they've responded on LinkedIn. And I genuinely believe that if I'd approached them via a different type of social media platform, I wouldn't have had the same engagement. So I do think it actually does bring everybody down to the same level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And the thing is, you can see who they are, what they do, where they were before, what they've been doing, and you can really get a decent picture. Whereas if you find somebody on Instagram or Facebook, they're just living this amazing life that you can't live, or then you're thinking, hang on, no, it's all made up. It's all made up. So do you use other social media platforms then?
I do, but probably not particularly well, not necessarily particularly successfully or prolifically. Like, I mean, I like Facebook for staying in touch with family that I don't get to see as much, and as much as anything, it's kind of there to let them see, you know, pictures of the kids, so I can see what they're doing with their life, and I do like that, you know, that works for me. I'm not much of a Facebook ranter. My family can get a little bit volatile on Facebook, with, you know, particularly on political issues. They're quite active politically, and for me, I don't want to get into an argument with a perfect stranger on a social media platform.
No, absolutely, cool. Life's complicated enough, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, you'll get into enough fights with people without that. I think Instagram, again, it's even probably less engagement, isn't it? And Twitter, I've just never got my head around. I just can't follow the threads.
It becomes too much, doesn't it? So how much time do you reckon you spend on LinkedIn?
Yeah, probably 10, 20 minutes a day. I'll do the sort of overall.
That's the wrong answer. should have said 15 minutes, Sam.
Oh, well, yes, but you've got to have like the warm up and the cool down afterwards.
Okay. So that's all I want to know about your LinkedIn, because we really want to know a little bit about you. And so I met you at one of the NatWest Business Accelerator meetings, and you're kind enough to come on and answer loads of questions and talk about your journey. So please, can you tell everybody who you are, what you do?
Yes, so I am the founder and chair of Freedom Services Group in the UK and Stella Insurance in Australia. They're both predominantly insurance businesses that focus on motor insurance, but we're starting to expand that out. And Stella Insurance is very specifically about designing financial service products around women, which is kind of a passion of mine, because I think the financial services industry has been very male dominated for a long period of time, and it's reflected in how they design products and the experiences that people have when they engage with them.
Yeah, no, and so I've also been listening to you on a podcast. You've got a podcast as well, haven't you? So tell us about that.
Yeah, so human business actually kind of came about a bit randomly. I was working with a couple of guys, and they introduced me to the concept of podcasts, which, believe it or not, I actually hadn't really had any experience of at the time. And they said, I think it'd be a really good idea to do one. And what I loved about it was that I could have conversations with people, one that were maybe not always in the insurance space. So my general rule is either I'm having a conversation with somebody who's not in my industry, and then trying to understand how their industry works and what's different and better, and and getting to know them. Or if I'm having a conversation with somebody who's from the industry, then I wanted them to talk about stuff that is outside of the industry and back in. And so I've been able to kind of really get to know some of the key people, both in my industry and outside of it, in a completely different way. And I love that about podcasts. I think that's a really fantastic thing about them.
Any plans to do any others, or are you just going to keep the human business?
I mean, I do other people's podcasts, bit like this, and you're probably much the same. It's kind of, I like connecting. I like kind of getting to know different people. And I'm also learning all the time about how engagement's changed in the world, and, what people are. I mean, I can't see me doing a TikTok video anytime soon. I'm not much of a dancer, but just understanding that sort of different breadth of media is kind of important to me. But I don't think I will do. I'm saying this now. God, probably next week I'll be doing something completely different.
Let us know if you do a TikTok video. We'd love to see that. So, you've said in your podcast that you're no longer I need to get this right, the CEO. And you've passed that on to somebody else. So what do you like now about your position, and what made you change from where you were?
Yeah, so I fired myself as CEO at the beginning of the year.
How did you word the letter?
Yeah, I was very kind and respectful, obviously.
Okay.
No, I've been working with a business coach for a couple of years, who is also an organizational psychologist. And I'd been really intrigued and impressed with his sort of individual coaching of both me and the team. But we couldn't really get everything fully embedded in the business, I felt, until we made some quite drastic changes. And I think it's tricky as a founder taking on the role of CEO. They're two very, very different things. And, I am very comfortable in the role of an entrepreneur, but I'm not really comfortable in that sort of executive role in a business. I started up my first company when I was 24. I'm a little bit feral. I do disappear off and do different things. And, so I've always brought in what I would say were corporate managers to fill the gap. And what comes with that is a sort of quite a traditional hierarchical business environment. And that wasn't what I wanted either. So for me, there had to be another way. And the third way, as you like, for me was, well, what if you brought in a really good organizational psychologist that could coach people so that you could create an exec team that were like a really powerful sports team. Yeah. And that was the sort of thesis was, could that happen? And I have to say, it's been phenomenally successful. They are, as an exec, they are more connected, more committed, more fired up than, in 20 odd years of business that I've ever seen. So I am just a massive advocate of the whole thing, really.
Yeah, because the thing is, right, when you set up your business to do something that you're passionate about. You don't set it up to start hiring and firing people and walking around with a stick and goodness knows what else, do you? So, and so what advice have you got for, people starting out in their business today for aiming towards the future?
There's a couple of things in life that have proved to be really true for me. So on both a personal and a business level, I would say, firstly, nobody cares. Stop worrying that everybody is watching you and obsessing about the minutiae of what you do on a day-to-day basis, because that's the thing that I think messes people up the most in life is that worry. It stops you from trusting your gut, trusting your own instincts, you're second guessing yourself. So just kind of relax in the knowledge that most people are far too obsessed with their own stuff to have any concern about what you're doing from a personal or a business viewpoint. And the second thing is that pretty much everybody's winging it. I think I think when you set up a business in the first instance, you think that there's some kind of magic formula that somebody else has got that you haven't got, and that you're going to get found out for not being a real grown-up or not understanding stuff that you think that you should understand. And the reality is everybody is just kind of finding their feet, working their way through this stuff. And yeah, of course, once you've done something a few times, it gets easier. Like it's less nerve-wracking for me now setting up a new company than it would have been when I was 24. But if you're doing it right, you should be coming across completely new sets of circumstance to scare the crap out of yourself on a daily basis. And that's okay.
Oh, that's brilliant. So Tim's got a good point there. Fake it till you make it. Yeah. And we all struggle with this voices inside our head saying, "Oh, someone's going to find you out," and goodness knows what that. So that's lovely advice. Thanks ever so much indeed. How many hours a week do you work, Sam?
That's a good question. What do you consider work? I would counter that question, because I love what I do. So actually,
it's not work.
It's not work. And there's sometimes that I'm sat in front of a screen talking to people, and there's sometimes that I'm, on a treadmill thinking about what might be good for the business, or I might just be having a chat with one of the team members. So I don't subscribe to the idea that you have to do 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, whatever. I also don't think if you're really fired up about something and you're excited about it, that it's a problem if you happen to do a 90-hour week, as long as you don't feel like you are doing 90 hours and it's put on you and you're miserable with it. That's the thing.
That's perfect. I'm going to play this back to my wife. I get up in the morning and I'm bouncing around the bed, and because I'm going to go and do this today and do that today, and I think that's the best thing about being an entrepreneur. We've already gone over our 15 minutes. I've just got a couple of car questions, because you are a petrol head. You had a Triumph Spitfire, so did I. But I just want to, what was the favorite car that you've ever owned, Sam?
Oh, so am I allowed two?
You can have two. That's absolutely
fine. I
have
two, because the thing is, when I was 15, I saw a car on the road and fell completely in love with it. It was like, I have to have one of those. And I managed to find a picture of one in a magazine, and I put it in my wallet, and I bought one when I was 19. And the feeling of having that car was probably the most excited. The night before I went and picked it up, and like, it was the most excited I've ever been.
I can feel it now.
What was it? It was an RX-7 twin turbo rotary engine, the one that looked like the Batmobile. So
Can we say what the real name of the engine is on live?
You can, but you're going to pronounce it, because I know I'm going to mess up.
It's a Wankel engine. And
that
was the only reason you got it, wasn't it?
That was the reason I got it, and it had a suicide chip, and it was amazing. But I also have been lucky enough to pretty much have every kind of dream car that I'd ever wanted to have. And I would say probably I had a Lamborghini Diablo at one point, and I would say that was just incredible. I mean, a pain in the arse to drive or park anywhere, and 9 miles to the gallon, and the noisiest thing you could ever imagine. But yeah, I was very happy to have that.
How did you manage to get insurance for that?
Yeah.
And so what's the worst car you've ever owned then?
I'm just saying one of the guys has just asked, did you put a telematics device in it? I wish I could have put a telematics device in the car to reduce the cost of the insurance, but unfortunately it was a long time ago and it wasn't really as common. The worst car I ever owned was actually, I'm going to be hated for this, but it was an Aston Martin Vanquish. And the reason I say this is it was extremely expensive. But every time I did it, if I shut the door, the wing mirror would fall off. It was really, really badly put together and nowhere near as much fun as I thought it was going to be. So,
what a shame! What a shame!
Yeah.
Oh, what a bombshell to end on. James Bond.
Sorry.
Oh, my goodness. Sam, I don't want to keep you any longer. You've been absolutely delightful coming on today. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for all their comments. Tim, you're hilarious. I'd love to meet you as well. Maybe you could come on
you should
one
have
day.
him on, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But Sam, have you got any parting words before you disappear?
No, I don't think so. Just lovely to meet you and fantastic rendition of Rolling Stones. I'm definitely having you over at the house if we end up with another lockdown.
Fantastic. Not a problem at all. I've just got one more question. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self, Sam?
That it's all going to be okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much indeed, Sam. Thanks, everybody. And we will be back next week. Cheerio. Bye-bye.